Hey everybody, C.NOTE here, and welcome to Dopamine, the show that is all about personality typology, mental health empowerment, and creative expression. Today on the show, I'm going to be talking to my INTP friends about, I already forgot. I literally just looked at the thing and I already forget. Becoming familiar with feedback and pushback. And this is for my fellow creative INTPs who are trying to put some stuff out into the world. We're trying to create something, we're trying to write, trying to create art, trying to create video games, trying to do something for ourselves as a form of expression, music, etc. And sometimes there is a fear of what someone else has to say about it. It's a very real fear for any creative person that I think is really important to think about. So we're going to talk a little bit about dealing with that. But first, if you go below, there is a link to our email list that involves you'll get a copy of our Breakdown 2.0 video, which is a full breakdown of INTPs and what that personality type is. And then there's also emails that you'll get about programs and stuff like that. So go ahead, sign up below. That'd be amazing. And we also have a Patreon page, patreon.com/dopamine. If you've gotten some value out of the videos you've seen so far to provide a little bit of financial support, that'd be amazing. So I want to talk a little bit about getting feedback, because often the idea of getting feedback is usually what stops us INTPs in our tracks. It is really easy for us to say, like, well, if I put something out there and I get some feedback on it, that means that A, it might not have been correct, it might not have been good, I'm gonna have to make another one probably, and like, people just don't like me. They didn't like what I did. And while all of this might sound like NFJ problems, this is very much an INTP issue as well. That for us to keep our intellect in our mind, our creativity in our mind, doesn't serve anything. It doesn't serve ourselves, because if we don't get feedback, then we don't know how to make certain adjustments. Now, we usually listen to ourselves and our internal sense of what is right and wrong, like what are the best things to do, what makes sense. But every once in a while, you need to put something out there to calibrate to what other people want to hear, because that's usually a measure, or one of the measurements, of what quality actually is. So if we're trying to learn how to make something better, usually there's a measurement, there's an idea of what better is in relation to what other people experience. Because our experience is what we experience. If the goal is to sell a product, to sell music, or to sell a book, then we have to know what people actually want. So for me to put out videos for INTPs and not listen to the feedback that I get in the comments, I would just make whatever videos I want, and like nobody would watch anymore, because it's just me like kind of pandering to myself. But the idea is that if I put out things to the world and I get feedback, then I can make the adjustment to be more potent with the information that I choose to put out there. So if I can give you more solid, fine-tuned advice by being willing to put it out there, that's really what it's all about. You know, that makes me feel good, because then I get the feedback that I actually want, that you guys are actually listening to this and this is helping people. And for me, this may end up leading to some financial support, and I can help INTPs grow and put creativity into the world. So the fear there is that if we create something, there is going to be pushback, because again, part of the challenge is that pushback kind of forces us to change, whether we like it or not. And I think often INTPs know this. I know that if I show the world what I'm thinking, they may not respond to it the way that I want to, and therefore my identity is going to change, and that's going to hurt. My sense of self might change based on what I thought was right, or what I thought was creative, or I thought was quality, or I thought was a good idea. And now, because I got feedback, I have to change what all of that is. And that's heavy, and sometimes that's hard, sometimes that hurts, sometimes that feels weird, right? And that's just it's not pleasurable to run towards sometimes, or there's the perception that it won't be. But I am here to promise you that putting stuff into the world and getting into this cycle of putting creative things into the world, getting feedback, adjusting, making something new, advancing your sense of quality and creating something interesting is all about getting into this wheel of reciprocity that eventually will get you into this feedback loop of making money and eventually making something that somebody will want and is interesting. So the idea is that, yes, we're going to honor our introverted thinking, honor what we want to do, but after we do all of the hard work in our head, we have to put it out there. Because when we put it out there, that's when we figure out what the next thing is that we have to do. So if I had all of these ideas, all of these thoughts about being an INTP and how to grow as an INTP and all of this information, but it's in my head and it's not going anywhere, what purpose does that serve? It doesn't serve me beyond self-flagellation of being able to say that I know all of these things about INTPs. Sure, I can use it for myself for growth, but that feels pretty limiting. Just doing things for myself feels incredibly limiting. And I want to do big things. I want my information, my insight, my thoughts to have an impact on the world, to have an impact on creative INTPs who are stuck and want to create rad things. I want you guys to create rad things. And that's why I'm here to encourage you to do just that, to be willing to be brave, to develop the bravery, the courage, power, and wisdom to take the strength that you have within you to make something and put it out into the wild. Because once it's out into the wild, then you're actually welcoming growth. That's really the thing, is like you put it out there and you're hoping for feedback. The point isn't to avoid feedback. The point is to get feedback. So once you get feedback, helpful feedback, actually thoughtful, encouraging, like productive feedback, constructive criticism, not people being like, this sucks, this is terrible. Don't listen to those people. The idea is that there are going to be people who resonate. And if you put it out there and people don't resonate, that is also information. That means there's an adjustment that needs to be made. But I think every INTP has some form of this ambition of needing to put it out there so that we can receive that feedback. So I hope that makes sense. I kind of went in circles a little bit because I wanted to make sure you understand exactly what I was trying to say. But essentially, the search for feedback is absolutely important. And the ability to get into this cycle of creating something and putting it out there, receiving feedback, creating something, putting it out there, receiving feedback, creating something, putting it out there, is the cycle that you get into by being a creator and making new things and making quality things and making change and doing big things in the world. That's really what it's all about, is getting into that cycle for yourself, for other people, and just getting used to it, because that's life. We create things, we put it out there, we get feedback. Like, there's more other things, but for the most part, that's what we do as creative people. So the point of creativity is to put it out into the world and get some love for it. And once you continue to refine it, your people will come. You will find your tribe. And there's more of that I talk about in the Cosmic Calibration course, which is linked below as well. But if you want to support this channel, go to dopamine.life. I would love to get some support from you guys. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment below. Like, subscribe, all the fun stuff. I'm a little TI burnt out, so I'm having a hard time with words. I'm really tired. I probably look high. But that's it. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll catch you next time on Dopamine. See ya.